Hello and welcome to the Invictus Racing League, the IRL F2 League. You join us tonight for round 4 here at the Chinese Grand Prix. My name is Harry, and for the first time alongside me, I don't have Charlie. I brought in my teammate from Monday night, Scott. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, great, mate. Thank you. Yeah, really looking forward to it. You know, first time in the comms box, and yeah, quite excited to get going.
Absolutely, of course, and we've got some real good talent. We're just waiting, I think, for the last of these guys to join up. 3 minutes to 8. I'm sure these guys are absolutely desperate to get going. Of course, China is quite a good battling track, actually. Really, it's a good DOS straight down that back straight, heading into the hairpin. Quite well known for overtaking, and I'm really hoping we get some real good racing done tonight. 16 drivers already, and hopefully try and get in a couple more as well. Void Boy also making his first start of the season tonight after being away, I think, on holiday for the first few rounds. So it's a massive welcome back to him, and we'll hopefully he gets a strong start to the season. And certainly Racing Point do need him back, because Badgers has had a bit of a struggle to start the season off. Racing Point, the only team yet to get a point in the constructors so far this season, so he'd be looking for a strong start. But of course, obviously, he is lacking 3 races of experience compared to these guys on the grid, so I'm sure he'll be looking to ease himself back into it. But before we get started, also do want to try and address some problems that we had with the stream, which seems to be a bit of sadly a reoccurring theme with Tuesday night since the start of the season. Also, we struggled to stream live round 1 in France, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth, and we've had a couple of problems, most noticeably last week. Obviously, the sort of disconnected sort of buffeting with microphone quality, sadly, over last week, and it's obviously very frustrating. Sure, you can just understand. Obviously, not quite sure what's causing the problem. Taking a few steps tonight, see if it's made any difference. Try and make sure it's to the highest quality to obviously make it a lot better for you guys spectating, and of course the drivers as well. I want to go back to watching a race, make it easier on their ears, and certainly on Scott's ears as well, as he'll be alongside me tonight. So we're taking steps to try and sort this little bit of a problem out, and very hopeful that we can have a little bit of a nicer stream tonight. But round 4, and of course the big talking point of last race was Beastas getting a back-to-back win in the Dutch Grand Prix. Got fastest lap as well. He now takes the championship lead from the Finnish driver of Hultari, who loses it for the first time after winning round 1. So those two have shared out the victories, but it's Beastas who holds a 5-point lead. Monster Blue did a fantastic recovery drive, had a very up and down race in Holland, but he recovered to the podium, and he's had 2 podiums in a row now, but he's got 8-point deficit to close up on Beastas. He's been the one who really has thrown down the gauntlet to the Ferrari driver. Beastas has just nipped him in qualifying a couple of times. Monster Blue, it's been a fantastic shootout between the two in qualifying, but Beastas has just managed to get the job done in a race. And Mashiro, massive well done to him. He's keeping himself just about in the championship hunt in his early stages of the season with a fantastic second place. He was a little bit off the pace in qualifying compared to the top 2, but in the race trim he was absolutely superb, and I think we're just about ready to get going. 16 drivers on the grid for tonight's Chinese Grand Prix, but they were the top 3, and Hultari did a fantastic drive from P10 up into P4, so a bit of a recovery drive from him. But Scott, this is the first time you'll be watching these guys, and you know, you said you've sort of kept a loose eye on these guys, you know, watching as a spectator the last few weeks. But who's really caught your eye in the start of the season? Who are you going to be looking out for tonight?
I think, you know, Hultari, you know, Monster Blue, you know, he done a cracking drive, you know, at Zandvoort. You know, Speed Queen, you know, I've raced against her quite a few times for quite a few seasons, you know, and I know she's come into I think this season with a new wheel. You know, and we all know, you know, whoever's raced against Speed Queen is, you know, she can mix it with the top guys, you know, and hopefully we can see her sort of get her way up, you know, near the front. Franklin, I did a practice race with him on the Sunday before we actually got added to the league, and he was pretty phenomenal, to be honest. We had a really good battle, so I'm hoping to see him have a bit more of a, you know, sort of top 5 finish. But yeah, there's a few drivers I've been looking out for, and you know, the top 3, top 4 in the championship, they're the guys to watch out for, really.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a breakaway at the top three in terms of the championship, but it is still very, very early rounds. And Mashiro, as pointed out, did a really good drive. First podium of the season for him, so he is certainly in the hunt. And in terms of constructors, it's certainly looking like it's AlphaTauri's to lose, as there's perhaps the first roll of the dice. Is a wet qualifying session for these guys, which I certainly know Aussie teammates with you, Scott, for what the last season and a half now. First thing we do is let's pray that it's a dry qualifying session. These guys haven't got quite as lucky as we have. They're going to be starting this qualifying session in the pouring rain.
Yeah, I don't envy these guys, I must be honest. You know, we did a bit of practice before last night's race, and it's a tricky track in the wet. You know, it's a very slippery track, and you know, when you're behind someone in the spray, and you know, if you are on a fast lap and you've got, you know, sort of slow cars on their in or out lap in front of you, it's a tough old track.
Absolutely, and so also it'll be interesting. I've got word through that it's going to be raining for the entirety of this qualifying session. However, the race should be a dry session for these guys, so it might be a case for these guys to really just try and cope with the wet conditions the best they can on a dry setup, and make sure they've got the best race pace possible for that. Of course, we might see some guys try it the other way around, try and have a really strong qualifying session by setting the car up for maybe a little bit more downforce, a bit more ride height or so on, to really maximise the qualifying potential of their car. But if we see them sliding backwards down the grid, then I'm sure it'll be pretty apparent to everyone that they have gone for a wet weather setup. So good for her, but we'll see what these guys do, especially with that back straight. You don't want to be running too much downforce. It is quite a twisty track. It's quite a really hard lap to nail, this one. And Scott, I think a lot of people have different approaches in the rain. I know for myself, I am one of the worst, I think, wet drivers, I think, probably in the Monday Night League, to be honest. But one thing I certainly find is to probably, at least at the start of the first half of the session, is to really top up the car with quite a lot of fuel and just try and learn the track lap after lap. Even if you know your lap times aren't going to be amazing, just try and learn the track to try and get 3 or 4 flying laps under your belt. Is that something we see a lot of these guys do, do you reckon? Or do you reckon it could be a case of, like in the dry, one flying lap, come in, another flying lap, maximum fuel, maximum engine mode?
I'd say exactly what you just said. You know, I always put sort of 7 or 8 laps of fuel in, and you know, you go out, you get a feel for the track for the first sort of 3 laps or so, and then you start pushing. You know, as we found in practice last night, you know, we gained nearly 1.1 seconds in the sort of 3 laps that we pushed. So, you know, I think you need to get the tyres up to temperature, you know, get a feel for the wet line and where there's a bit more grip, and then, you know, start sort of finding your feet and really starting to push. But, you know, I think this will be quite an interesting qualifying, I must say.
Yep, and Verstappen is going to be the first man out to set a flying lap, and the Haas driver certainly deserves a bit of credit. Didn't have it all his own way last time. I had a DNF, but he had a very solid start to the season. In fact, both Haas drivers really sort of gone a little bit under the radar, and of course I haven't really followed these guys too close before this season, but after 3 runs in, the 2 Haas drivers have really impressed, particularly on their race pace. The qualifying hasn't really gone their way. No Mr. Steen tonight, so sorry, no Mr. Steen is here, so I apologise for that. He's now starting his flying lap. But if these 2 guys can get their qualifying sorted, I think we could see Haas in for a really strong point side, because they do have very good race pace, and the Haas are currently sat in P7 in the constructors, 10 points between them so far, and Verstappen's got a couple of points scoring results to his name. I think also so does Mr. Steen, and these guys been quite consistently, quite comfortably outside the top 10 in qualifying, but having the freshest set of tyres, just keeping out of trouble, keeping consistent with their lap times, and making the most of every opportunity that's fell their way. They've jumped a couple of teams in the constructors, so I'm sure they'll be looking to make the most of it again. And we'll see how Verstappen does on this opening lap. He's got a runner behind him, which I believe will be I. Frankland, who had a very impressive debut. He was fighting for the podium in the early stages of the race. He things went his way. He might well have been standing on the podium for his debut, but he picked up a good solid amount of points to finish in P6, and we'll see what these opening laps will be like. Verstappen coming around the last corner, a 44.7 for him. We'll see what the runner of I. Frankland can do. He's gone immediately a 44.2. And I'm sure these guys were trying to get a little bit quicker, but everyone out on Scott track already looking for an early lap, probably just trying to learn the circuit, I imagine. Yeah,
it looks like I was actually on board with I. Franklin, and yeah, it wasn't a bad lap from him. It was pretty tidy, you know, there was no big mistakes. As you see, Lozak's just gone through now with a 44.9. But no, you know, I. Franklin, that was a very, very strong lap from him. You know, it's a marker. You know, I'm sure that, you know, the times will drop. You know, if it's wet, you know, for the whole qualifying, it might dry out a slightly bit. You know, if it sort of slows down in the rain. But no, I must say, you know, I think, you know, I'll give him a 10 out of 10 for that one.
Yep, early on the pace, there's no doubt about that one, and we're right on board with Beastas, and there we are then, Monster Blue. The first man, not just the first man into the 43s, he's the first man into the 42s, a 42.6, and currently on pole by a provisional 1.3 seconds, so that's not a bad banker time at all, is it? But we'll see what Beastas can do. He's very much the man of qualifying, but even he's only just in, I say only just, he's a 43.4, so he's now about 8 tenths off Monster Blue. Monster Blue has had an absolutely outstanding banker up there. I think Speed Queen just coming across the line, goes up to P3, so the 3-time champion of IRL has gone up into P3, so a strong start in the rain for Speed Queen. I think Lopensky might have been validated his first lap. Just going right on the board to see how he's doing that. I think he might have done. I think he might be on another flying lap now. But Monster Blue, an astonishing lap there from the Mercedes driver, 8 tenths of a second, split him first and second.
That's a monster lap, excuse the pun, but that is that's a very good lap there. You know, 8 tenths straight away, and I think that might be a tough one to beat, to be honest with you. I know they've only done one flying lap, but that is a very, very strong lap there. You know, and he's set a very, very good benchmark there. And a lot of people now are going to be sort of sitting there wondering what they can do to sort of gain. You know, Beastas has got to gain 8 tenths of a second. You know, and that's a lot of time. You know, you can find it in the wet. You know, when you try different lines, but that's a very good marker.
And shout out to Lozak in the second Prix as well, up into P3, so he's had a very strong opening lap as well. Lozak, of course, F2 champion not too long ago. One of the main champions we have on the grid, we have Doran, who sadly can't make it tonight, our Season 5 F2 champion. Lozak obviously winning it back in Season 9. Speed Queen, 3 titles to her name in no assist, Season 3, 4 and 6. And Meg as well has got a championship to his name. And Ferocious Dan, F3 winner back in Season 8. And look like Monster Blue just having a bit of a slower second lap there. He's going again for, so it looks like he's having a push lap, a sort of safe, calm lap, and then he's going for another push lap. So he's done that provisional lap time. Clearly a bit of fuel in the car. Beastas is coming in, so short. Looks like he's going for definitely the approach of a quick flying lap. We'll see what Lozak's doing. Look like he might have just had a little bit of an off there around the left-handers in the second sector. Going right on board with Speed Queen, who comes across the line, who again I think just like Monster Blue taking a similar approach of push lap, have a little bit of a calmer lap, recharge the battery, maybe just cool down the tyres a little bit and go for another lap. But there's a lot of different lines you can take in the range. You touched on there, Scott, and turn 1 is really can be because it's so incredibly long. It's one that feels like it's never ending, turn 1, particularly in the rain when you're understeering so massively wide. We can see a massive variety of lines there. Some people prefer the very tight inner approach, or some people really prefer to drift, sort of not drift it, but really take the really wide slingshot approach to the apex at turn 1.
Yeah, you know, wet weather driving and racing it's so different. You know, you have to make the corner as straight as possible. So for me, if it was wet, you know, I'd take the widest line possible to really sort of cut across and narrow that corner. But just seen there that Roy Boy's just come across the line, and he's just set a 43.6, which has pushed him up to 4th. So that's a strong lap there for Roy Boy. You know, his first qualifying session of the season. But yeah, no, you know, the wet weather, you can really find a lot of time, different lines. That's why I say sometimes put 7 or 8 laps of fuel in, so you can really sort of change your lines and take different approaches, because you will find that it will make a big difference.
Absolutely, and say Roy Boy right on the pace from the word go, it seems. Still 9 minutes left in the session. Yellow flag just had a Speed Queen. I'm sure that won't put her off, just car getting out of the way. I think that's when the runners might be Frankland as we go into turns 14. And this little exit, a little dink to the right on the exit hairpin, that's actually turn 15, as then you come into the 90-degree lefts, and probably the only real corner these guys have to be watching out for in terms of invalidation. Speed Queen does improve by 1/10.5, just pips her up ahead of Loza by just 5 thousandths of a second. We're going right on board. See what Mashiro's doing. He's had a very strong lap up into P3. Looks like he's having a cool down lap. We're going right on board with the Renault of I Franklin, seeing what he can do. Currently sat in P8 and very comfortable banker lap. He's coming for a new set of intermediates as he comes round the first section, and in fact it's actually turn 1 and 2. the tight apex of the right-hander is actually turn 2, and there's a couple of corners on the exit of the left that are actually 3 and 4, and a little dink to the right is turn 5, and then the hairpin is actually turn 6 as Lozak looks like he's lost it, potentially coming up to the last corner there on the mini-map. So he's brought out a yellow flag, and he's going to have to eradicate these mistakes, Scott, because we raced against him last season on a Monday night. We know how fast he is, particularly in qualifying. Well, it's shown already in qualifying he's up into P6. But he has got to eradicate his mistakes, hasn't he? And making a mistake in qualifying with 7 minutes on the board in the wet weather, when you're always learning, the truck is probably going to be always improving. He's left himself vulnerable now to fall outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's a big shame. You know, when Lozak's on it, he's a very good and very fast driver. You know, it's just these little mistakes like these which can, you know, it can really cost you. You know, especially, you know, a track like this, he's lucky. You know, there is overtaking opportunities here, but you don't really want to be starting, you know, low down. You know, you want to be starting as high up as possible. You know, and it's unfortunate for Lozak that that's happened. I'm not too sure what happened. I didn't see it, didn't catch it, but a bit of an odd place to go really, because he was sort of in the middle on that straight, so I'm not too sure if he lost it on the traction, etc. But yeah, no, it is unfortunate. But hopefully, you know, fingers crossed for Lozak that the track doesn't sort of dry out or anything like that, or improve too much, that he can sort of stay in the sort of top 7 or 8.
Absolutely, because Ferrari certainly do need him to. If Ferrari are to mount a constructors push, both drivers scoring points. Beastas has done a very solid job start of the season. Lozak showed very, very good pace at the Dutch Grand Prix, but once again it was just a small mistake costing him out there. So it looks like Beastas there's a wobbly moment at the back there. Is that Mashiro? No, that's Hultari in the AlphaTauri, losing it on the exit of turn 13. Now that is a very easy corner to lose it in the dry. I can imagine how hard it is for these guys during the rain. He's going to have to be very careful on the slippery grass, as it's got an Alfa Romeo coming flying back past him. I think that might be Lopensky, as SD Mats is he's in the pit lane on set of medium, so maybe he's just looking at it. I think Beastas had invalidated it at a bit of a wobbly moment coming out of turn 10 there, so the Ferrari driver just showing he's not perhaps quite as comfortable as Monster Blue, still sat in the pit lane, maybe just thinking that he's got no chance of improving on his original banker lap. And it does look like it has stopped raining. The information we got was it will be a wet session for the entirety of qualifying, but with SD Mats sat in the pit lane on mediums, quite a lot of these guys in the pit lane. In fact, 5 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, so plenty of time to get back out there and set another lap. But the track looks like, Scott, it could be drying, and we could be seeing it come down to a last lap dart shootout to perhaps someone saying or putting on a set of softs, and if it is dry enough, to maybe try and pit themselves to pole position.
Well, I must say, ST Mats is braver than I am, sitting there on mediums. No, I'm on board with Nightshades at the minute. It's still very slippery. You know, he's had 2 quite big moments on his outlap, so I think it's still definitely wet enough at the minute. You know, I don't think the track. Well, yeah, like you say, you know, there is no spits and spots of rain on the camera lens. So, you know, we will now see, now that I'm following Nightshades, and we'll see if he improves enough on his lap. You know, it was a nice exit from the last corner. You know, it'd be nice to see, but again, for Lozak, it won't be good for him. You know, still in 6th position at the minute, but if the track starts to dry out, he could see himself tumble down the order pretty quickly.
Certainly, as you say. Meanwhile, Beastas is going much quicker in this middle sector. Once again, he lost the rear slightly coming out of turn 10, so the traction is clearly a bit of a problem in that Ferrari. The number 19 bright green helmet comes around the last corner of 16. Of course, DRS straight down here in the dry, and he improves by nearly 7/10 of a second. It's still not good enough for pole position. He's going to have to find another 10th somewhere, as Roy Boy sat in P4, and they're looking really strong in that racing point, and he's certainly enjoying this wet weather. But we're right on board with him a little bit. We're going board back with Nightshades, who looks like he's going even quicker again, unless that's a delayed delta time. And of course, Red Bull bit up and down for him. Just notice Lopensky now selecting the soft tyres in the pit lane, so these guys are wet. They are 15th and 16th. Perhaps haven't got too much to lose on these guys, but it's worth the risk. There's a little bit of a lock up there for Nightshades into the left-hander of 11. It's going to compromise his line into 12, and of course he's going to be very, very careful now to really plant the throttle. As he's just about held it. Well done for keeping that thing in a straight line, because he looked like he's on a collision course with the wall there, but I think that lap will be finished. But it looks like 3 minutes on the clock, Scott. I think there's just going to be perhaps 10 minutes away, or 5 or 10 minutes away from really being a dry session.
I'm going to call Nightshade's Ken Block from now on. That's 3 pretty decent slides I've seen him do in this F1 car. Yeah, you are right. It's as you can see, there's still spray everything coming off the tyres, so it is still wet enough for the intermediate tyres. ESAS have a great lap there. I think that might have just tweaked Monster Blue, maybe thinking, am I still safe here on pole position? I don't know. It's a tough one to call now. I'd be sat in the pits really, sort of thinking what to do. You don't want to be going out now with a lot of fuel. You've found where the grip is. You go out now with your lowest fuel you can and see if anyone can chase after Monster Blue.
Well, Roy Boy certainly come very close. A fantastic lap for him as Bisas has admitted defeat on this qualifying session, so he's retired from the session with 2 minutes 30 to go. And the track drying up, he's clearly just ran out of fuel, and knew he didn't have time to get into the pits and come back out. So it does seem to be an open goal for Monster Blue. He's still sat in the pit lane. In fact, I think I can just see him coming out now. In fact, exiting into turn 1. So I think he is on an out lap. So he will have one more go at it, and I'm sure with the track drying up and the likes of Roy Boy going quicker, and the likes of Mashiro, Speed Queen and Hutari all out on circuit as well, you still can't count your chickens just yet, as Mashiro is going quite a bit slower in this middle sector. So we're going right aboard with Speed Queen, who I think might have just improved her lap time just there. Seeing if she's going for another push lap, we'll have a look. So 10th and a half down into sector 1. We're going right aboard. Looks like one of the Hasses. I think they're just on an out lap, so we're going to have a little look at Lopensky, currently down in 15th. Had a bit of a struggling start to the season, has Lopensky, and the Alfa Romeo hasn't looked all too comfortable, as just drifting it out of 5 and out of 4, I should say, as it comes across the 5. It's gone a little bit quicker in the first sector still, so really struggling with traction, maybe a dry setup on his car, as Mr. Steen is well in 14th, and Froschestein having a bit of a better qualifying in P9, but really it still looks like as Simply Superman's got a 5-second penalty there for illegal blocking. I don't see that one too much, Scott.
No, you don't. That's an odd penalty to give out straight away. I can't quite see where he is. Is that him on the inside of turn 3? Is that maybe?
I think that's SD Mats. I think he's had a spin on the grass.
Okay, no, he's coming down the back straight, Simply Superman, so I'm not too sure what's happened there. I've been driving on board with I. Franklin. He's 3 tenths up after the first sector, and he's now just under half a second up, so this could be a good enough lap to sort of put in P5, could be P4 if he keeps going. I'm just watching him come through that really nice panked corner of turn 13. He's stuck to the floor, there's no drifting sideways, anything like that. So this looks like, as he comes down to the back straight into the hairpins, just make sure he doesn't lock up a run wide. It's nice and tough there. This could be a pretty decent lap from my Franklin. I hope I don't give him a bit of a jinx into the last corner, but been a very, very tidy lap from him. Very nicely taken through there, and as he crosses the line, bumps himself up to 5th, goes just over half a second quicker. That's a good lap for him. I think he'll be happy with that.
And DRS is now enabled, so no one took the gamble to go onto a set of soft tyres for this last run. We can see why. It did look very, very greasy, didn't it, for a long time. DRS enabled does usually mean you've got to, if you're on the soft tyres, that is usually the better tyre to be on. It is sort of changes, sort of a renowned changeover point, should we say, and it looks like McLubby has lost it on the exit of turn 10 there, the Red Bull driver, but Monster Blue's going even quicker still in this middle sector. It looks like Hotari has crossed the line into P3, so much better qualifying session for the number 2 in the championship. Mashiro is also up there in P5, so AlphaTauri having a much better qualifying session. We'll see what Sawyer Samuel, teammate of Monster Blue, can do. He's coming up, he's gone into the pit lane, so he's won't be going any faster. P11 will be for him for the first time. The 2 Hasses are inside the top 10 in the qualifying. That is, of course, if no one can pip him. Simply Superman is certainly someone who's got a lot of pace about him, as a Monster Blue improves by 7 tenths a second, on pole by nearly 8 tenths of a second. We're going right aboard with Simply Superman. He's coming up to this last couple of corners into turn 14, the hairpin, this little exit is turn 15, this little right-hander, and I think he might have Ferocious Dan behind him, so either he's getting held up, the Haas driver, or he might just let him through, see if he goes any quicker. The Haas driver, Simply Superman, does come into the pit, so maybe a little bit should have got out of the way. Maybe we'll see, as I think Ferocious Dan has backed out of pit, so that we'll see what Nightshares can do. I think he's the only man still on a flying lap. Of course, the track is at its dry, so it should be a little bit quicker for these guys if Nightshares can find a bit of time, and it's gone up into P5, so he's timed it to perfection there. He's improved by 1.2 seconds, the Red Bull driver, and that's a fantastic position for him in the Red Bull, and he's timed that absolutely to perfection, Scott, because it was more or less a bone dry track, which of course the Inters will be overheating, but it does mean it just have that little bit more grip, and he's improved his time by 1.2 seconds, and he'll be starting on the third row.
It's a very good lap. I spoke to him before the race. He asked me politely not to mention saying too much because he didn't want to be jinxed from the commentators, but yeah, it's a very good lap. I actually was on board with Simply Superman, and as he was coming into turn 11 and 12, he did a great Scandinavian flick pretty much the whole way down the bank, around the bank, and he didn't hold a Haas driver or Ferocious Dan up. He actually got a toe off Ferocious Dan, and then I think he obviously backed out towards the end. But yeah, great lap from everyone there. I think Monster Blue, he's looking pretty quick.
Absolutely, 8 tenths of a second. He really enjoyed the wet weather here at Shanghai. And but has he got a dry setup on? It'll be interesting to see what his race pace is like. Beastas just had the pipping of him in the last 2 races, but we'll see what his race pace is like around China. Hutari will start P3, so much improved qualifying for the Finnish driver after starting P10 back at the Dutch Grand Prix. So he'll be looking to try and regain his championship lead after, of course, he saw Beastas take it away from him. Beastas not just getting the race win, got the fastest lap of the race and pole position, in fact. So Beastas really did enjoy the lights of Zandvoort, the quick twisty section. Of course, the first time we had Zandvoort on the calendar. And I'll just wait for these guys to, of course, be allowed a minute or two just to prep their strategies and just to make sure they're all ready to go. Of course, these guys who are starting outside the top 10, in fact no, because they're all started qualified on intermediate, so even more thought going into strategy, Scott. And we should probably mention, of course, it is a soft to hard is usually the strategy we see the top runners do, but I think, Scott, after everyone qualifying on intermediates, I think we'll be very, very popular, seeing a lot of drivers starting on the medium tyres going on to the hard, or of course maybe those outside the top 10 possibly doing vice versa of hard to medium, because the soft tyres do burn up quite quickly around here.
Yeah, you know, as we found last night, you know, the soft tyres after sort of lap 3 or 4, they do start to overheat and you do start losing quite a bit of time. You know, the medium runners, they should be okay. Yeah, I think if you start on mediums, you're probably on the best shout. But again, as Gamer and I think it was Sambam showed last night, if you start on hards and you can keep up through, you know, up to lap 3 and stay in DRS, you're in for a very, very good shout there.
Absolutely, and of course, I'll just wait for these guys to just prep just tweaking maybe their setup a little bit. Of course, you can change that front wing, and of course, just looking adjusting their fuel loads. Sorry, just about to start the formation lap now. But of course, if you're enjoying and you can't wait to see more action, of course, Tuesday nights we run in parallel with the F2 League on Xbox. Wednesday nights is F3 and F4 on the PS4. Jakob and Ryan bring you F3. F4 is brought to you by Jake. Realistic Performance, of course, you'll even see Scott in action there, which is always worth a view. That is on PS4, brought to you by Malcolm Tim, 8 PM live on YouTube. Sunday night, Xbox F1 League by Dan and Kendo. That is live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. And of course, Monday night is the F1 League PS4. Gareth and Sab will be bringing you round 5, which will be at Abu Dhabi. So that'll be, of course, and of course you can find us at all the socials at Invictus Racing League, Twitter at Invictus RL, Facebook you can find all the likes of photo albums, interviews and news of your favourite drivers. And of course, if you're looking to get signed up, to see the comment section here, how can I join the league? If you go to the Invictus website, there is a sign up form for you there, and of course we'll be looking to get you on the grid as soon as we can. Of course, Craig does a really good job for those, even if you don't have a place straight away. Craig does a great job with reserves to really analyse your driving to make sure you're in the correct tier for when we do get a seat for you, and try and do usually sets up a couple of races for the reserves to keep them on their toes during the week. And we're going right on board then with Monster Blue, who's set out on the medium tyres. In fact, the top 5 all on the medium tyres, and there's a bit of a mixed bag there. Ferocious Dan is the only man on soft tyres, interestingly, in 10th position. Everyone else gone for the mediums or the hards. So a bit of a strange call there for Ferocious Dan. We'll see how it goes for him. Of course, Lozak, after crashing out in qualifying, did drop him down from about P4. He has now gone down into P9, so he'll be starting 9th place, and of course Simp Superman from the back after picking up a grid penalty. But Mashiro could be the cork in the bottle here, Scott, because he is the one that's a little bit out of sync. He is the first driver who will be starting on those hard tyres.
Yeah, he could be the cork in the bottle, but you know, as we've seen from last night, you know, it's not an easy place to really pull away because the DRS is so strong. You know, the back straight is nearly a mile long, or even the main straight still it's quite a lengthy old straight. So I think it'd be difficult, you know, for Mashiro to start off with. But if he can just stick with him for the sort of first 6 or 7 laps. You know, that's when he will then need to start pushing on and trying to really capitalise on that strategy.
Yep, and of course it's such a could be a little bit of a bottleneck into turn 1, because we were saying it's such a long ride to the apex. Some guys have taken the wider line. Of course, I personally prefer. I think it's a lot nicer around the outside here to start, because you then get the inside line up to turn 2, and of course if there is a little bit of a cluster on the apex of turn 1, well, you've got all the space in the world to try and go around it, as these guys will be taking up their rightful grid positions, as the Mercedes, of course, on pole position, and Beastas in P2. These two have got quite a bit of a habit, haven't they, of locking out the front 2 rows between them. It really is Mercedes versus Ferrari so far this season, but Hutari is certainly keeping his name in there. He's still second in the championship, of course, and only a few points behind, so he'll be looking to get himself back up there, as it looks like we're all ready to get going, as we'll just wait for the 5 red lights. There's 3, there's 4, there is 5, waiting for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, and it is lights out, and it looks like to be an initially good start for the Ferrari. A little bit of a squirm there for the Mercedes, and Hutari jumps up into P2. Monster Blue leads into turn 1. Hutari goes up into P2. Nightshades has got the jump on Void Boy into P4. Looks like it's been a slow start for Mashiro. Looks like he's going to be a little bit swamped. He's got the inside of I. Franklin down the inside of him into turn 2. He's going to try and hold it around the outside. Ferocious down on the soft tyres. He needs to make progress, and he's made progress already up into 8th. Now looking down the inside of Mashiro. Ferocious Dan, fantastic start on Hash Drive. Meanwhile, his teammate's going to go flying in at turn 6, and he's going to hit his teammate. Looks like he just about managed to get away. Looks like with no damage, as Mashiro gets back at the Hash Driver up into P7. Monster Blue's got a flying start, 8 tenths to a second lead. Beastas is looking like he's already just dropped back a little bit. Nightshade's fantastic start for him. Mashiro has got to hold his ground. I'm sure Ferocious Dan will be looking to try and get past him as soon as he can. Lozak's had a little bit of a scruffy start, it looks like, as Ferocious Dan's going to try and go down the inside into turn 11. He leaves the space. A very clean racing from these two. Mashiro is going to try and run him wide, but look at the difference in grip there from the Hash Drive, clean around the outside of turn 13. That's a fantastic move on heavy fuel load, but what a start from Monster Blue. A 1.5 second gap already.
Yeah, great start. A lot of wheel bashing in the sort of mid-pack with Speed Queen and Lozak. I've just seen Lozak's had a right old moment coming out of turn 13 there. A little bit of contact, didn't quite see who it was with. I just went on board with him and I just saw him sort of boardway size. But as I got to the hairpin, you've got a McLaren who's run very wide, Simply Superman, who actually got off to a really good start. Gained about 4 or 5 positions, but it looks like he's outrun himself at the hairpin there.
Yep, and that's just a timing bug. We're not on lap 3, and that's not Ferocious Dan. Sadly for him in the lead. This usually does sort itself out, hopefully by the end of the lap. But it's Beastas closing down on Hutari. Hutari got 1.5 second gap, so what a flying lap from Monster Blue. What a way. That's almost Sebastian Vettel, isn't it, back in his Red Bull days for an opening lap. He really does look strong, doesn't he, rounds the Chinese circuit tonight, and maybe already squashing any sort of consideration that he could be on just a wet weather setup. He's clearly looking very fine in these dry conditions, as Beastas applying the pressure onto the second place man into the championship. Void Boy looking to try and get back at Nightshades, who's just about outside the DRS range of Beastas. He knows his job of holding on to P4 will be an awful lot easier if he can stay in the DRS range of the Ferrari. I. Franklin's had a strong start into P6. Ferocious Dan has got ahead of Mashiro. Mashiro's dropped back, as you probably would expect on those hard tyres. There's Speed Queen as well. It looks like Lozak has had another problem outside turn 10, maybe just overheating those hard tyres already. and Yellow Flag looks like he's got himself back going, but he's got a lot of work to do. He's got 10 seconds now to the next car ahead. We're going right on board with Beastas. Isn't going to get anywhere near close enough. It's going to have a little look to the insides, get inside the mirrors, I think, more than anything, of the AlphaTauri driver, as Roy Boy again applying the pressure to Nightshades. Nightshades will be outside the DRS range unless Beastas makes a mistake on this lap, as Monster Blue flying up at 34.4 is extended that lead even more so, as we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do. As Roy Boy, I'm sure, looking really, really feisty and really racy, and as the outlier, Scott flushes down on the soft tyres. It looked like a bit of a bald call, should we say, but if he is going to stick with that soft tyre, he's done what he needs to do. He's made up a couple of positions and he's going on the attack right away.
Yeah, absolutely. He just needs to carry on with this pace, over the next sort of 2 laps or so. He needs to try and clear, if he can. I know it's a bold one, but he needs to try and clear these 3 in front of him who are actually battling away. It looks like to me that Nightshades may be a bit of a cork in the bottle at the minute, as Roy Boy is all over the back of him, and then Knight Franklin is on the back of him as well. So we'll see what it's like with once the DRS kicks him down this back straight, because Nightshades is just outside of the DRS here. So it could be a couple of position changes here as we hit the back straight. But I did actually watch. I was watching on the last lap coming through turn 11 and 12. Meg Lugby just catching the back of Lipinski under brake and just putting him a little bit sideways there. But luckily enough, they carried on. Both of them in a straight line. But as we come down the back straight, it looks like to me that Roy Boy has definitely got a bit of a toll on him here. He's using a lot of the battery power. Luke, go on, carry on. You'll see something's happening up in front.
There's Hotari and Beastas going wheel to wheel at the hairpin, and Hotari forcefully defending the inside line, pushing Beastas onto the grass, but a Ferrari driver looking like he's got the job done. As but going back, I wanted to interrupt you, as it looks like Nightshades is fended off that attack for Roy Boy for now.
It looks like it just, but they're both using a lot of battery power. I've already seen that Nightshades is already down to nearly 30%, so he's used a lot of battery power to try and stay ahead. But the two, the second and third place cars, they're battling on that last sort of sector as really gained. It's helped Nightshades because he's now back in the DRS zone. But Roy Boy looks like he's trying to mount an attack as Nightshades goes defensive. Roy Boy is going to try and go around the outside there, and he's actually got better grip on the exit. It's a very, very good move there from Roy Boy.
Oh, that's a fantastic move on the medium tyres, and it looks like riding on the rear wing of the Red Bull driver. Looked like he just took a little bit too much curve, didn't it? I think he even clipped the gravel, maybe just a little bit, leaving almost too nice, someone leaving a little bit too much space for Roy Boy, and Roy Boy said thank you very much around the outside. Fantastic move for the Racing Point driver. He's clearly fresh from the holidays and really looking forward to getting the season started is Roy Boy, and thankfully for him, the battling squabble of Beastas and Hotari means he's immediately straight in the DRS range of the AlphaTauri driver. So but a 4.1 second gap from Monster Blue. He is absolutely flying, and Hotari's done him clearly a real favour so far this evening of keeping it back, as looks like we've got a safety car. It looks like Lozak has crashed on the exit of turns 10 there on the mini-map, and is that Meg Lubby? Looks like it's had a spin just on the verge of the safety car being announced. I think it might be minus his front wing as well, the Red Bull driver, so that safety car might become an absolute blessing for him as Monster Blue pits. So this is a very bold call. Ferocious Dan also into the pit lane. That's a bit more understandable. He's on those soft tyres. They'd be pitting fairly early anyway. But the race leader going for a set of hard, Scott, on lap 5. You can get those hard tyres to the ends, so you can see why it's done it. He wants to get a free pit stop. That is very bold, isn't it? Because his tyres will be very dead at the end of the race, and it's strange to see a race leader take such a drastic call, shall we say. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you. I thought he'd have left it a few more laps. He's got a free pit stop out of it, but the problem is now he's 11th position. He's got to overtake cars. He's risking any sort of wing damage. He's risking getting held up. It might work out for him. I'm not sure if the tyres are going to last that long. Pitting on lap 6 last night, the tyres were sort of 75% on the last lap 24 for me. So it's that's a very, very bold move there from Monster Blue. It'd be interesting to see his fight back.
Absolutely, of course. I think McLubby's also come into the box there at the end, so it's a bit of a shame. McLubby, one of these guys who puts in unprecedented amount of time behind the scenes to really make Invictus function as well as he can, taking a lot of responsibility of particularly on the PS4 side of helping all the admins, and of course does a lot of work for this league as well, after of course Reska moved down into F3, and it's got a lot of pace, Meglub, no doubt about that. It's in F1 for a long time, but it's just these mistakes that I'm sure which he knows he's making, and he knows it's be a little bit frustrating for him, but thankfully for him he's got a second chance at the Cherry this evening with the safety car, and he'll rejoin back up in 15th place on I assume a new set of hard tyres. We'll go and look. Yep, he's on a new set of hard tyres, so he'll be looking to go to the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see if anyone regrets the decision to not come into the pits, as we'll see what Beastas and Hutari do. Are they going to go sweeping back down the pit straight? Yeah, they are. So it looks like everyone's still happy with their decision, as I don't see anyone coming into the pit lane. The other Haas, it looks like Mr. Steen also coming into the box, so he's going to follow his teammate onto the hard tyres. So it's going to be really interesting now. We've got looks like from those outside the top 10, or from 10th position down, is of course Monster Blue, our former race leader. All these guys are now going to the end. Simply Superman on the medium tyres might have his work cut out a little bit, making those medium tyres go to the end. I would expect him to probably pit again, or unless he's hoping for another safety car later on in the race. But we've got really now, Scott, two races sort of going on, which could sort of split away a little bit. We've got Monster Blue downwards, who have made their pit stops, and then of course 9th place upwards, who are going to have to be pitting again. So it's going to be interesting where these two sort of sets of drivers go, and of course hopefully they emerge quite nicely in the middle come the lap 26, 27 and 28.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I'm not too sure, in my opinion, that Monster Blue's made the right call, because I think the mediums at this point in the race are probably going to be just coming in, maybe just a couple of laps before they come in. So I still think that the mediums have still got a good bit of pace on the lap 6. We're probably halfway through the medium stint, so they're going to be at their prime. So Monster Blue may see the lap times of Beastas and Hitari, Roy Boy, Nightshades, etc. on the mediums actually set faster lap times on Monster Blue. So he's got a bit of work to do, but we saw in Zandvoort he can overtake and he can get through the pack. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting.
Yep, and looks like safety car's going this lap, because Beastas really bunching up the field there on the exit of turn 13. So he's going to let the safety car get well out of the way, and it shouldn't take too much to get these medium tyres into a good tyre temperature frame. It's obviously a bit of a cloudy day as well, so they shouldn't be overheating too much. It's only really the soft tyres that you could potentially have a problem with in terms of overheating. The medium should get up to temperature quite nicely. Those guys on the hards might be working their tyres just that little bit harder, particularly those who are on a brand new set, of course. So all these guys would have been starting originally on a new set of tyres, so the mediums should be able to go at least 12-13 laps with this safety car. They should probably be able to go even further. Looks like Roy Boy getting a little bit too keen there, and not sure if he knows that it's all systems go, because it's green flag around the last corner and he's dropped right back. I don't know what's happened there for the Racing Point driver. He's going to get swallowed up by the pack, and he's already got passed by one of the Mercedes. As Roy Boy, so I think he might be having, sadly, a bit of internet problems for the Racing Point drivers. Speed Queen's got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I think that could be down potentially to overtaking Roy Boy's AI car as we come around the first couple of corners. Beastas is holding on to his lead. Nightshades is in a podium position as it stands, so a fantastic chance for the Red Bull driver to get a couple of points. Monster Blue is making progress, already up into P8, so he's got past the McLaren of SD Mats, and there is Roy Boy's ghosted car. I'm sure he'll be desperately trying to get back into this session as soon as he can. Flushes down, also making up progress. I'm wondering if Monster Blue, if he can just get on the telephone to his teammate saying, "Let me through, I need to get on with this, I was leading the race."
Yeah, I think he's pushing. You can really tell he's pushing. His steering wheel action. He's on the ragged edge here. I don't think it'll take him too long here to sort of catch up to the back of Mishiro. But like I said, after that, it could be a bit of a difficult one. With the guys on the mediums. Look at the training from coming down the back straight. They all move to the inside to try and get as much toe as possible. This is going to be a bit of a corker, this one. I can feel it coming.
It's certainly looking quite nice, isn't it? But Monster Blue is doing all he needs to do. Is a little bit of a lock up there on the Red Bull, the hairpin of turns 14, and the Renault really pressing him quite nicely across Mashiro. Also on the hard tyres here, going long into the race. Safety car doesn't really help his strategy all too much. I'm sure we'll be looking to try and pit in the times when these guys in front of him on the medium tyres pit. As Monster Blue still stuck behind his teammate, just 6 tenths of a second behind the team Mercedes. I'm sure he won't be maybe not too bothered about it right now, because his teammates' tyres will probably be in quite good position, so the pace won't be affecting him too much, but I'm sure he'll be looking to try and get past his teammate when those medium tyres do start to drop off, as I Franklin right on the back of that Red Bull driver, and Hotari for good measure just shadowing the Ferrari at this stage. And I think very late on the brakes, a little bit defensive there from Nightshades, and a little bit of squirm on the exit of turn 6 as we come back up the hill around this. And qualifying is completely flat. In dirty air in the race, no chance of taking this flat into 7, and sure he'll be looking to hug the insiders. Roy Boy, who joins the session, he's got a lot of work to do sadly for him after such a strong start to the race. He'll be furious with that, I'm sure. He's come around a double left-hander of 9 and 10, and I think I'm sure he'll be well aware. DRS zone, detection zone just here, just before you slide it in to the right hand of turn 12, just over that little white line there, and is comfortably within a second, half a second behind, just can't get the power sorted. So he's got to be very careful because he's got a little bit of a squirm on, and Speed Queen just a few tenths a second behind. He should be safe. So DRS isn't actually enabled until next lap, obviously, because after the safety car, so it's just about safe for that. But Beastar's not dropping Hotari, and of course he is going to drop him. We would like to do it sooner rather than later, before DRS is activated. But lost a bit of intervals there, so that's a bit annoying. But there we're all back now. As it looks like Monster Blue back up into P7, and he's holding on crucially onto this top 6. So Monster Blue, we know how dead his tyres are going to be, but he is more or less, when these guys all pit, he is going to be about 20 seconds clear of most of these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one. You know, he's going to be quick now, and he's got to do what he can now, really, to get through the pack and not get held up too much. But he doesn't want to wear them tyres out either, because by about lap 19, 20, I think they're going to be a little bit of a handful. But yeah, as you say, Beastas really isn't dropping Hutari now, and now that the DRS has been enabled, it'll be interesting to see if Hutari can get close enough, through this double left-hander and mount an attack down the back straight. We've got I Franklin as well, who again is all over the back of Nightshades again. Once this DRS kicks in, we're going to see a few swappings of positions now. Yep,
yellow flag in sector 3 there, I think, sadly for Roy, but I think it's all sadly all gone so wrong. He was really in with a good shout of a podium, the Racing Point driver, and of course we're saying Racing Point desperately needs the points, and it really did deserve something today, there's no doubt about that. Hotari in the DRS of Beastas, not looking quite close enough though, as it looks like Nightshade's going to have to go defensive against the Renault driver into the hairpin. He's going to force the Renault the long way around. The Renault's going to try and hug it right around the outside. If he can get that power down, it could have the inside line for the first corner. Nightshades has planted the throttle down beautifully as he now keeps himself safely ahead around this last corner, but he's had a little bit of a wobbly moment on the exit, and this could give I Franklin another chance into turn 1. Red Bull going to make it as wide as he can into turn 1, parking it nicely in the middle of the road. I Franklin couldn't really wasn't quite close enough to go either side of him. He's making that Red Bull very, very wide indeed. He's doing a fantastic job of keeping it behind. He's been on the defensive almost from the word go, and he's just slipped out of DRS range now for Hutari, so it's making it a little bit harder. But as we were saying into this race, Scott, we do get some really nice battling around this track, because the DRS it's one of the few tracks on this game where DRS does feel quite perfectly powered, because it gets you alongside, it gets you close, it gives great battling, but we don't see these ridiculous DRS straight through passes every lap.
No, I think this, like as you say, this track, if you can get yourself a decent run, out of turn 13, and you're not in DRS and you're the car who's defending, as long as you can just get a decent enough sort of run, you do find that you can actually sort of just defend enough to sort of brake a little bit later and defend into the hairpin. So yeah, as you can see, like now, Nightshades has just pulled a little bit of a gap on I Franklin there. He's half a second behind, and we realised last night if you just can get over that half a second mark down the straight, you're pretty clear. You don't need to defend for turn 14. So for this lap, it looks like Nightshades is can relax into the braking zone.
Monster Blue has a look down the inside of the three-time champion Speed Queen into turn 14. It looked like he's going for it. He's really making some really solid progress now as Nightshades comes into the pit lane. So he's getting an early stop on those medium tyres, suspecting maybe going a little bit longer because of the safety car, but he wants to get onto the hard tyres early on. And but Monster Blue really making some really nice, keen progress on these hard tyres. He knows the drivers in front are going to be struggling on these medium tyres, and he wants to make that progress sooner rather than later. But he knows he's still effectively in that net lead, and he doesn't want to throw it or send it down the inside of the Alfa Romeo if he can possibly help. He doesn't want to risk even the most minimal of damage because he's got everything to lose at this point, and he knows the race lead will fall into his hands when these guys make their pit stops. But the Alfa Romeo is looking like quite a hard car to pass this evening. Meanwhile, Holtari is really keeping Beastas honest, and Holtari looked like he struggled a little bit in the opening stages, but it's looking like he's coming back at the Ferrari, and since the safety car restart, he's more than matched Beastas in terms of race pace, and he's looking strong for a podium, Holtari. But of course they've got to be careful. We'll see Nightshades has come out, and you can see how far adrift he's come out. You can see on the minimap there, this is someone who was running I think 4th place before the safety car came out. So that really does put into perspective, Scott, at the difference in terms of strategies has made, because Nightshades, as quick as he has got 10 seconds to make up on a lot of these guys who have already pitted and going to the end.
Yes, he needs to, I think, pray for a safety cars. I'm on board with Meg here, and he's up the inside. He's just, they both lock up there. Him and Penske having a little bit of a wheel bang into turn 14 up the hairpin, but Meg doesn't quite get the traction that he needs. But he's really, he's caught the back of Lipinski there, and they've both run very wide out the last corner. That was nearly a mirror image of my incident last night, but they managed to, they've obviously got better car control than I have, I think.
And well, it looks like great racing down the pit straight as well, and the big winner of that was Monster Blue, has proved himself up into P4. Mashiro, opportunistic as ever, the Japanese driver, has sought the opportunity to get past the Alfa Romeo of Speed Queen and up into P5. So of course those hard tyres falling his way now for Mashiro. The mediums of Speed Queen looking like they've dropped off quite drastically, and I'm sure the Alfa Romeo driver coming in to the pit lane fairly soon. Still got a 1.9 second gap to the Mercedes behind her. Ferocious Dan is the second car, or shall I say effectively in a net second at the moment, as the drivers who have already made their pit stop and presumably going to the ends. Nightshades is making some very good progress on Simply Superman. He's already gained about 2 seconds on the McLaren driver, so he's clearly got a bit of pace about him, as Ferocious Dan picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think he might have just done that, possibly running wide on the exit of turn 10. You can pick up quite a hard corner again for traction. It's really hard track in terms of traction anyway, and that is one of the corners. If you do get a little bit of a moment on around the exit of turn 10, you can run wide and get the validation, of course, and the last corner of turn 16, as we see these two guys come around now and go all 4 wheels off the track. You do risk getting yourself a warning as I Franklin comes into the pit lane. Monster Blue up into P3, and you can see, and he would have just about be able to see the top 2 guys in front of him. He's only 4.4 seconds behind.
Yeah, he's done well. It's exactly, you know, after the safety car come in, he was 5.6 seconds behind. So, you know, even though he's been overtaken and you know, getting through the field, he still gained time. Ferocious Dan actually just clipped the inside of turn 11. He just went over the curve a bit too much there. That's what threw him the 3-second time penalty. But actually got quite a good run there, and he's just passed ST Mats down the back straight. So it looks like he's on a bit of a charge as well. Yeah, but Monster Blue, he's looking very comfortable. You know, he's already gained nearly 4/10 of a second on the slap on the 2 in front of him. So these fresh tyres, these fresh hards, they're yeah, you can see that he's just gaining. He really is. It won't be long. You know, I know they'll be pitting very soon, but if they weren't pitting, he'd be on him in the next sort of 3 or 4 laps, I think.
As ST Mats clearly just struggling with his hard tyres at this phase of the Grand Prix, just losing it a little bit on the exit, just roughing the car over the curb into turn 11 as well. He's comfortably in the DRS zone of Ferocious Dan in the Haas in front of him, but he's going to have to be careful because Mr. Steen on a newer set of hard tyres behind him. So yeah, I think it's a Red Bull McLovin going very wide on the exit turn 13, maybe just getting a little bit of a snap of oversteer mid-corner. But as I say, Monster Blue just bringing down the gap on the top 2. So the top 2 do come into the pit lane. So lap 13 is the lap for them. And Hotaru is going to follow Beastas into the pit box and see where these two are going to come out absolutely crucial. Of course, they're going to be hoping for a nice bit of clean air where they can really maximise the fresh tyres that they've got over Monster Blue. Looks like it's a little bit of a slower stop there for Hotaru. It looks like he was only about a second behind the Ferrari driver. We'll see how much the gap is when they come out. But there goes Simply Superman in McLaren. Hotaru looks like it has now. He's dropped down 2 seconds. And Nightshades has held on to his lead over I. Franklin in the Renault. So these guys who, of course, originally before safety car member were 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And these guys currently 9th, 10th and 11th. Of course, I'm sure they won't be too pleased with that, but that is good for us, Scott, because it does mean we should see a lot of overtaking from these guys when they get their tyres fully up to temperature and I'm sure pick their way through the field.
Yeah, it should be good to watch. But Franklin just running into the back there of Nightshades, into the hairpin of turn 6. And but I've already just noticed that Nightshades has used all of his battery already. He's down to sort of 18 to 14%, whereas Franklin's got 86. So I think on this time around when we come down the back straight, I think Franklin is probably going to mount an attack, and Nightshades is all over the place here, and it's hard. So the back end's all over the place, and got a car off here. I don't know who that is.
It's Lipinski, I think.
Alfa Romeo. Is it Lipinski? Is it? Yeah, he's lost it as well. Such a hard turn there for traction, turn 13. It's a really difficult one. But coming back to Franklin, it looks like he's going to go to the inside of Nightshades, and yeah, it looks like a bit of an easy pass to see if he locks up under braking. No, it looks like he's done that. Nice clean pass there from Franklin. He can now sort of move forward and put an attack on Hotaru.
Well, it's taken him nearly 15 laps, but finally he's got past that roadblock of that Red Bull. Fantastic defensive driving from Nightshades. Absolutely textbook from him. He's done a fantastic job, and I'm sure he'll be looking to not just try and hold on to the back of this Renault. I'm sure he'll be looking to try and get DRS back past the Renault driver, hopefully on this next lap. And because these two have had a fantastic battle for pretty much lights out to the start. And of course, Lipinski, I think, just recovering from that spin, is down into P12. I think he's going to the end on those hard tyres, I believe. So he's still got a chance. Of course, still drivers yet to pit as they're going right aboard with Hotaru, who's quickly caught up to the back of Simply Superman in the McLaren. And it's a bit of a frustrating day for McLaren. They've both been disappointed that neither of them got any points last time out in France, in Holland, sorry, despite a pretty good pace, particularly from Simply Superman. We saw a fantastic drive for him in Austria round 2, but he's got a bit of defending to do. What does Hotaru do? Is you can see how impatient he is. I'm sure he'll be absolutely furious with his pit crew. The fact that he's lost quite a bit of time really to Beastas in the pit stops. He was kept quite nicely with the Ferrari driver. Lost a little bit of time on his in lap. I think might have just dropped outside the DRS range, but he's lost a lot of time, and you can see just losing track position to the McLaren has really hurt him. He's going to soon pass him. McLaren almost banging wheels there down the straight. Franklin's going to try and follow him through, is he? No, he's going to look to the outside, is the Renault, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Looks like Hotaru's going a little bit deep. And he's just tagged the McLaren on the exit. It's sent Hotaru round. He's going to spin it back round, but he's going to lose a whole heap of positions. New fastest up on the rest from Beastas, so there's the contrast in fortunes that a pit stop has really brought Beastas in compared to Hotaru. Hotaru's lost track position and lost the DRS on Beastas in the pit stops, and he's had to make a move on Simply Superman, and just on the exit it looked like McLaren just tagged wheels with the rear of the AlphaTauri, and it just sent him round, and now he's got P11 and he's got a right mountain to climb if he wants to get anywhere near the top scoring positions now.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there. I didn't quite catch it, but yeah, it's this track isn't great for traction. A lot of people last night struggled with rear grip and the traction there, so it looks like with that contact it's a very difficult circuit as well. Yeah, it's very unfortunate for Hotaru, but he knows he's got good pace. He just needs to compose himself now, get his head back in the game, and use this now and to really push. And we've got another car off here. That Lipinski again had another spin. They're coming into turn 11. Is that 11? I can't see. No, it's actually 2, 8 and 9. Yeah, so yeah, and now Lipinski just looks like he's overheated his tyres in the last couple of laps, and he's had a couple of mistakes. But yeah, Hotaru's now. I'm going to be interested to see what sort of progress he can make.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I mean, I had a similar incident last night, and you're absolutely fuming yourself. You do lose your head for a couple of laps. You just try and get yourself head planted back down, just have to try. He's got all the pace in the world to try and catch up to the guys in front of him, and he'll be getting a few more positions as Mashiro comes into the pit box on a hard set of tyres. It'll be interesting. He goes onto a new set of medium tyres. We'll see roughly whereabouts he comes out. He should be quite comfortably behind Beastas, as Beastas is actually already halfway around turn 1. And there's Nightshade. So of course it's great news for Nightshades, because not only does he get the position on Hultari, I think poor I Frankland in the Renault's had an incredible as a McLaren, a Simply Superman, clearly completely lost on his tyres, or either got damaged going really, really deep in the opening couple of corners there. But Paul Franklin, I think, must have picked up wing damage, because I saw him shoot off down the pit lane after Hultari had his spin with Simply Superman, as Hultari now does get the move done on the McLaren driver, who's clearly having a bit of a shocking lap here. But so far so good for Monster Blue. He's got a 12-second gap to the Hasses, and it's battle of the Hasses at the moment. They're currently sat second and third with 12 laps to go. I'm sure they couldn't quite believe it, the position that they're running into. Ferocious Dan has got a 3-second time penalty, and Meg Lubby, despite that early spin, is in P4 as well, but he's got an absolutely charging Ferrari behind him. So this is going to be a really, really fascinating last 10-11 laps. What do the Haas drivers do? Do they switch position? No, they're going to stick with it for the moment. Mr. Steen's quite happy to follow his teammate Prix and Meg Lubby. So just all concentration on keeping it on the road and just applying the pressure on the Haas drivers. We'll have a look at Speed Queen as well. Looks like she should get an easy move done down the McLaren and move up into P10. The Alfa Romeo driver, calm as you like, a little bit of a lock up, but up into P10 for Speed Queen.
Yeah, I've also noticed that Franklin's obviously come out on the soft tyre, so he's probably going to have to pit again. Obviously he might have used all of his sets of mediums there, but yeah, he's come out. He might have set the fastest lap of the race, but he is going to have to pit again. Maybe he's hoping for a safety car or something. I'm not too sure there, but yeah, it's don't know what happened to him. Yeah, he must have picked up some wing damage here, but yeah, the two Haas drivers at second and third. Yeah, they'll be rubbing their hands together, I think, at the minute. They're working together, they're not pushing each other. Mr. Steen's not putting Ferocious Dan under pressure, making him defend. But the gap from Meg to Mr. Steen at the start of the lap was 1.2 seconds, and he is now within the DRS. So, Meg is very, very quickly catching up these two, and he's probably had a bit of a push from his engineer to say, you've got a big, fast Ferrari behind you, steaming up. So let's get going. So yeah, this is going to be quite a good battle now. We're going to have a bit of a cork in the bottle, I think, with Ferocious Dan and then Mr. Steen, Meg, and then Beastas catching them pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the big mover I expect to see as well, Mashiro, who's on a new set of medium tyres going to the end. He's 7 seconds behind Beastas, so you would think that he would be catching the likes of the two Hasses and Meg Lubby not too long after Beastas does in the Ferrari. So as it looks like Hultari just had a little bit of a sloppy middle sector there, lost a little bit of time, so he's not going to be able to pass the Mercedes on this lap of Soy Samuel. But yeah, Mashiro is sitting quite comfortably in P6. He knows he'll be knowing there's plenty more positions up to grabs for him this evening. And as Hultari now puts up a 3-second time penalty, I think just running wide at that last corner. As you can see, the AlphaTauri just about inside the DRS range, 9/10 of a second. Of course, Dertier is quite effective around here, particularly in that middle sector. Let's ride on board with the fight for the podium positions, as Beastas is now just 1.3 seconds behind. So if he has a good last sector, or middle sector, say, he could find himself in DRS range on this very lap. But if you're Mr. Steen, you're sort of stuck behind your teammate. Your team's got a 3-second time penalty. Should Ferocious Dan or should Mr. Steen really be asking the question to his teammate with drivers behind going much quicker? He could well be asking the question to his teammate, let me through, try and hold them up for me, because we've got a chance of getting a podium here.
Yeah, I think if it was me, I'd be on the radio to you pretty quickly to say, come on, let's stop over for a little bit, see if I can pull a bit of a gap. Or Mr. Steen might feel comfortable enough that he can hold sort of Meg and Beastas off and give Ferocious Dan a bit more of a gap to try and keep him up a bit high up after the 3-second penalty. So yeah, it's a big lock up for Meg there. I thought he was going to run into the back of Mr. Steen into the hairpin, but it's getting close now with 8 laps to go. This is looking like it's going to be a corker.
Yeah, just a little feint to the inside, getting the mirrors of Mr. Steen, and but the Haas driver wasn't phased on that occasion, as Mr. Steen now getting into the mirrors of his own teammates, 3 tenths of a second behind, and the 2 Hasses have really got to get their foot down. Of course, B-Stats might be the inevitable car that does come sailing past them, but they've got to be careful, don't tread on their own 2 feet and allow Meg to get past them at any stages. Meg, I'm sure, will be looking just to try and keep it calm. He knows he's in a great position, and he's in a position which in pre-season he did show he was more than capable of, but qualifying just hasn't quite been the strength of Meg this season, and just the odd mistake really has cost him so far in the races of the opening 3 rounds. But it's a real change in fortunes for Meg this evening. He's made the absolute most of the early safety car, and the strategic call does mean he's got a shot of a podium still. Of course, Mashiro bringing down the gap quite nicely on this little quartet of cars, and 5.5 seconds is the gap between the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari driver. So B-Stats will know, be fully aware of Mashiro's pace on the medium tyres, and will know his life will be made a lot easier if he can get past this Red Bull of Meg Luppy. He's 3 tenths of a second behind. Meg will get DRS on and a nice slipstream off the 2 Haas cars in front of him. What does B-Stats do? He's going to have a look to the inside. Does he send it from a long way back? McGlubby just about gets out of the way, just about misses the Haas with his front wing. Little bit of contact on the exit. Got a yellow flag. I think that might be the Renault by Frankland. A safety car.
This could be interesting. This could be very
ferocious down, and McGlubby come into the pit, which I think that could be a good call, because if they can pit on a set of soft tyres, it could be well placed. Unfortunately for the likes of B-Stats, Mr. Steen and Monster Blue, they'd already gone past the pit lane. I'm not sure what caused that safety car, to be honest, Scott. Do you?
No, I didn't. I didn't even see a car off, so I'm not too sure what was happened. Maybe because the field was a little bit spread out in the mid pack. Maybe the directors thought, we'll throw a safety car out and we'll give the commentators a sore throat for the last 7 laps, I think. but yeah, no, it's going to be pretty interesting now, because, like we said, Monster Blue, Mr. Steen, and B-Stats, they haven't pitted. B-Stats he's on only 6 lap old hard, so he's actually looking like he could put a bit of pressure on Mr. Steen and Monster Blue for he's one to watch. But like you said that now that Meg's pitted, he's come out in 6th position on a new set of mediums, same as Ferocious Dan. But again, Mashiro, he's only on 3 lap old mediums, so then 3 there with Nightshades on the soft. So it's too hard to call at the minute on who's going to be doing really well. I think the softs are going to be quick, but I don't know if they'll. Depends how long the safety car stays out for. It's going to be at least 2 laps. So the soft tyre choosers there, they could have just done an absolute corker of a strategy there.
Well, I'm sure Monster Blue would be absolutely cursing in that bright pink helmet. He had the race win right in his hand, but his job isn't done yet. He's going to have to do it all over again. And is coming into the pit lane. That's not really too much of a surprise. He's going on to, it looks like, a brand new set of soft tyres. Is the race leader to give himself the absolute best chance of defending, as Mr. Steen going past the pit lane, and as too does B-Stats and Mashiro likewise. So the top 4 staying. In fact, Mr. Steen actually takes the lead, as Monster Blue is going to come out just ahead of his rival B-Stats in the Ferrari. It should be a complete mismatch on the restart between the 2 of them, but he is going to have to overtake the Haas driver of Mr. Steen on 15 lap old hards if he wants to win this race. Now obviously the tyre difference should not be a problem, and of course Monster Blue has been really in a league of his own this evening, but if he gets tripped up behind a Mercedes, B-Stats, Mashiro and Ferocious Down will be there all waiting, and of course it's going to be an unbelievable fight for the podium positions. Mr. Steen is going to have to make that the widest Haas car in the universe if he's going to try and really fight on for this podium. Mashiro, as you quite rightly point out, Scott, should be in a pretty good position in P4. Better tyres than B-Stats right directly in front of him and Mr. Steen, so he should be on for a nice podium if he can keep it nice and clean. Ferocious Dan and McGlubby going on medium tyres, which should help them perhaps on the last lap or 2, but you'd think the soft tyres of Nightshade, Sultari and Speed Queen would probably give them the edge. So we're going to see the 2 Red Bulls come into contact come into battle, I think, quite early on the safety car restart.
Yeah, I think we are. I think Nightshade is in the prime seat here. I'm hoping I don't jinx him. But if he can sort of pick off Meg, or Meg sort of realises that he's going to be probably the fastest driver on these last few laps, he's got a very, very, very good chance here of getting a podium. And like we said, you know, Mr. Steen, if he can do and make his car a tank, as Gareth last night described my car for half the race, if he can hold Monster Blue off for that first lap, or first sort of 3/4 of a lap, that could give Beastas a run on the blue. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting now. This is going to be really is going to be one to watch.
As Mr. Steen, I think they're desperate just to keep heat into his hard tyres. I think he knows fully well the absolute mammoth task he's got ahead of him, almost locking up in the safety car there, which, believe me, would not be a good thing. I think you get quite a swift penalty for hitting the safety car. Might even be a straight disqualification. I don't know. I haven't, not too sure of that one for the last few years. But he's just about got away with that one. But Monster Blue, I'm sure, will be looking to pass that Haas at the very first opportunity, because he knows if he can get that move done early, he's not just the quickest man on track, he's got the quickest tyres as well, so he should be able to claim what would be, touch wood and not to put the commentator's curse on, a very well deserved victory. But Mr. Steen, I'm sure, will be looking to try and back up Beastas and Machiro, probably into his teammate, as Ferocious Dan in P5 on a brand new set of medium tyres. But looking to hold on to the position, but a great chance for Haas to score some real good points tonight. We know how good they've been in the races this season. The qualifying hasn't been their forte, should you say, but they had it nicely today, and they've made the most of the first safety car. And have they made the right call in this second safety car? Has Mr. Steen made the right decision staying out, or has Ferocious Dan made the right decision coming in? Mr. Steen is the only driver, in fact, to have not pitted. Everyone else, other than Beastas and Machiro, everyone else has come into a new set of tyres. As Mr. Steen going a little bit wide there, I think just working his tyres. And I'm hoping, Scott, we see safety car come in this lap, and we'll have 5 odd laps of an absolute free-fall for not just the podium, but I think all the way down the field. Everyone's now got a second chance, even though Penske's it's going to have to get a foot down. But if he can catch up to the back of this grid, I think anyone's got a chance of points tonight.
I think they have, yeah. I think they have. There's a bit of confusion with Ferocious Dan and Roy Boy. I think obviously Roy Boy's car is between Ferocious Dan and Machiro, but it looks like every time Ferocious Dan goes to overtake Roy Boy's car, it obviously tells him to back off and not overtake him. So Ferocious Dan might lose out a tiny little bit here on the restart, because he's having to sort of sit behind the car which isn't actually in the race. So that's going to be one to watch. But yeah, as you say, you know, that's given I. Franklin, you know, another chance to sort of pick some cars off and get back into the points after his wing damage. As you say, you know, Lipinski's in, but we've got a safety car in this lap. It's a very, very late call here.
I think it's just, luckily for Lipinski, he is just by the scruff of it caught up to the back, and Mr. Steen there has caught a very late, slowed down. He's going to have to slam it down now as Beastas, it looks like he's got the jump on Monster Blue. They're going to be side by side, the Mercedes and the Ferrari, into turn 1. Beastas is going to go around the outside. He's on the old hards. Monster Blue should have the grip to go slicing down the inside, and indeed he does. And Beastas slots in just ahead of the AlphaTauri, and Machiro looking all over, inspecting that rear wing, and it looks like Monster Blue already on the traction. And Mr. Steen, he's lost it on the exit of turn 4. He's just kept it out the barriers. He's going to be overheating those rear tyres dreadfully, and he knew he had a mammoth task on those hard tyres. He just perhaps didn't get the temperature in them that he would have wanted, and it's made his Monster Blue's life a whole lot easier, hasn't it? He's got a 1.3 second gap and the race lead, which he feel he was deserve. Machiro on the medium set of tyres is going to be putting all sorts of pressure on the Ferrari of Beastas. Ferocious Dan as well back up into 4th, so we could still see a Haas on the podium positions, as looks like Speed Queen, I think, has made a move on Hutari somewhere, and it looks like Nightshades has fallen back as well, so the 2 Red Bulls have lost out on this early safety car restart. But poor Mr. Steen, I mean, we knew how much of a mammoth task he did have, but sadly a good point scoring position has gone for him tonight.
Oh, I feel for him. I really feel for him. But the 2 Red Bulls come together, I think. I might be wrong, but it looked like when Mr. Steen slowed down at the start, near the start line, that Nightshade just went into the back of Meg, took his wing off, took his own wing off, and Speed Queen just drove around past them all, went from about 9th to P5. She's absolutely flying here. She's in a really, really good position here to actually get a podium position, so hopefully, fingers crossed for her, that does happen.
as I Franklin is making his way through the field. He was, I think, at 11th at the safety car restart. It's already up into P8 on the soft tyres. He has more positions for him. So we're quickly trying to ride aboard with Speed Queen. As looks like she's got the move done on the Haas drivers, up into P4 for Speed Queen. She's got much better tyres than the two cars in front of her, so she could be on for a P2 here still. And of course, all those who have been a little bit naughty with track limits and picked up a 3-second time penalty, well, guess what? A late safety car has really not helped your cause. Looks like Lipinski's made a move on the McLaren of Simply Superman for P11 as well. Ferocious Dan, of course, and Hutari, two drivers who do have a 3-second time penalty and will possibly drop like a plum if they cannot break a gap to themselves and the cars behind. But Speed Queen all over the back already of Mashiro, and Mashiro is going to be desperate to get past the Fire Beastas because he knows he'll be in danger of getting swallowed up by the drivers on soft tyres behind him.
Absolutely, yeah. Speed Queen, she is absolutely flying in this from this safety car restart. We've got Franklin round the outside of Meg Lugby coming out of turn 13. Looks like he's just made the pace there side by side now. They're wheel to wheel. Meg's using a lot of battery here to try and stay ahead. Looks like Meg's just going to have enough rear just to keep hold of the position for this corner, but I Franklin might get the better traction on the exit. Yeah, it looks like he is, and yeah, great move. I Franklin now up to 7th position. Another one is going to be on a charge, and I think we'll, if he can catch up to the back of Hutari, who's being held up slightly by Ferocious Dan, but they're now side by side in turn 1. This is, I'm losing my breath here.
Well, I think you should make it a rule there. It looks like the Ferocious Dan has lost it. I think he might just bang wheels with the AlphaTauri driver into turn 1, so it's all gone so wrong for the two Haas cars. He's going to just carefully rejoin his Lipinski. Now goes up into P9, and it's gone so wrong for the two Haas boys. We've had a fantastic race. He's going to go wheel to wheel with Soy Samuel on the exit of turn 4, so he's lost another position there. I'm sure his tyres will be glowing red hot after that one as well. It's gone so wrong. He's got to feel so sorry for the Haas boys. They look like it was on for such a good result with their last 5 laps, and this second safety car restart clearly hasn't gone their way at all. Speed Queen into P4 and still shadowing the back of the AlphaTauri of Mashiro. And lovely view from the helicopter here as we come around turns 10 and 11, and Speed Queen just got to bide her time. School's got about 2.5 laps to go as Franklin picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's moved up into P6 after that spin for Ferocious Dan, and what a couple of debut races he's had. Even if he doesn't get the points he perhaps deserves, his raw pace and racecraft has really been really solid, and deserving much more than he might well get. But we'll see what Mashiro can do on Beastas. It looks like Speed Queen doesn't quite have the straight line speed. As further back, I Franklin's going to go on the attack on our second place man in the championship. Hutari is going to defend the inside line. I Franklin doesn't quite have the grip to go around the outside this time. He's going to have a little look into turn 1, into the last corner down the inside. He's going to think better of it, as the top 3 still, or the top 4 should say, still really close. As the Renault's going to have another look this time to the outside of turn 1. He's going to, AlphaTauri driver's going to make him go the long way around, and Hutari just about does it. Both of these drivers have. A Speed Queen looks like she's lost it on the exit turn 2.
Yeah, I was actually just went on board with Speed Queen. I'm not too sure what happened. She'd already sort of sideways when I come on, but she's dropped down to the 7th position. Another one. It's another driver. You've got the two Haas drivers now. Speed Queen of what could have been. It's just not been their day. I don't think. Speed Queen again. She's still going to have decent tyres. Hopefully she hasn't overheated them too much. She might be able to catch up onto the back of Meg there. But yeah, it's been an exciting sort of last 6 laps, hasn't it?
Yeah, Mashiro gets an absolute squirm on the exit of turn 9. Just managed to plant it nicely for turn 10. He'd be pleased when he looks behind to see that Alfa Romeo on a brand new set of soft tyres is no longer there. Takes the pressure off his rear wing a little bit, but his medium tyres are now 9 laps old. Obviously the safety car will help them a little bit. It's Beastas now runs wide. That's the smallest of errors on the exit turn 13. He's doing an unbelievable job defensively, but I think that might have been just about thrown into the bin. It might have just hands P2 to the Japanese drivers. We're going right aboard with Hutari. He's now coming under threat once again from the Renault drivers. Meg also all over the rear wing of that Renault car. Speed Queen, I'm sure, just trying to get her tyres back under calm temperatures. Monster Blue, an unbelievable race he's driven, unbelievable, and looking destined for that first win here in IRL. And as he starts his last lap, Franklin looking to try and make up one more position. He's got a time penalty, so it could drop him anyway, but this is 4th position. Hutari also has a time penalty. So he's had a fantastic recovery driver. He's really made the most of this second safety car. Of course, got involved in an incident that wasn't even anything to do with him. Had to pit for a new front wing. And well, he's made the most of it, and it could be on for a good set of points anyway. Mashiro is also very close to the back of Beastas, so it could be on for a last lap battle between those two coming into the hairpin. But we're going to ride on board with Mashiro, and now also keep an eye on Monster Blue. Watch him come across the start-finish line, because he is absolutely checked out at the start, in the lead. 8-second gap between these two, but Beastas won't be worried about that. He'll be looking just to try and keep the AlphaTauri driver behind him, and I'm sure he'll be praying that the Japanese driver's got a penalty of some sort himself, as well as a look at the queue of cars behind Hotaru. Hotaru's just about looking to keep hold of it. It looks like Mashiro is going to just not have the traction. 6-7 seconds behind. I'm sure he'll be using all his battery that he has left to try and get a move done into the hairpin. Does he know if the Ferrari's got a penalty or not? We'll find out in a minute. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to just think better of it. So we're going right on board with Monster Blue, who has taken an absolutely dominant win from pole position. Congratulations to the Mercedes driver. He has been immense tonight. Wins by over 8 seconds. Beastas runs wide on the last corner. He's going to come over the line P2, but Mashiro takes that off him. Does Beastas stay onto the podium? Speed Queen jumps up into P4. ST Mats in the McLaren has kept it clean on penalties and moves up into P5. So unbelievable job him. Hotaru and I Franklin drop down to P6 and 7. Soares, Samuel and Mercedes at P8. Simply Superman gives himself a couple of points after a trying race for him. Lopensky gets his first points of the season, and the poor Hasses, after looking like it could even be almost a double podium if all things went right, finished 11th and 12th, just outside the points. Meg, somewhere on that last lap, must have had an incident, because he's now minus a front wing and P12 nightshades as well, so it's gone all so badly wrong for Red Bull after the second safety car restart. And of course we lost Roy Boy, I think, through disconnection problems, and Lozak early on. But goodness me, Scott, that late safety car really gave us an unbelievable finish.
It did indeed, you know, and like you said before, it didn't help, you know, anyone that had a time penalty or that got given a time penalty through that race. So yeah, it was an exciting one. It's you know, Monster Blue though is, well, you know, he's on a different level at the minute, you know, especially at this track. You know, he pulled, you know, another, was it 6-7 seconds nearly at the line. So yeah, it looks like he's a man to beat at the minute, I think.
Absolutely, I'm sure he'll be taking a lot of pride from this result, and of course he'll be moving into Abu Dhabi knowing he's really given himself a real chance. Now I think in terms of the championship, he will move within, I think, 3 points of Beastas, so this has done absolute wonders for the Welshman. And he, look at that, fastest lap as well, so in fact 2 points behind the Ferrari driver. Unbelievable. He was an absolute class above the rest. Mashiro, a fantastic race once again from the Japanese driver, a real good turn of form for him in the last 2-3 races. Beastas finishes on the podium once again. Speed Queen, a spin really did rob her of second place maybe, but she does finish 4th anyway. ST Mats from 15th on the grid, kept it clean and made the most of that late safety car into P5. Hotaru P6, I Franklin's P7. Soares Samuel gets good points in 8th, and Simple Superman and Lopensky rounds out the top 10. Of course, first points of the season for Lopensky. We saw a great opportunity missed for the two Haas cars and Red Bull drivers. Real shame. They did such a fantastic race. In the end, they made the absolute most of the second safety car. Sadly, the first safety car, the second safety car, as it turns out, didn't really work in their favour at all. But I'm sure they take a lot of confidence from their performances tonight, and I'm sure we'll try and get in to the commentary box, the top 3, as soon as we can. But of course, if you enjoyed that late action here at the round 4 at Invictus F2 League, and we've got plenty more coming up for you. Of course, the F2 XBOX League is running parallel with us. The stream's live on Twitch at twitch.tv / Invictus Racing League. Of course, Wednesday nights is the F3 and F4 PS4 League. Jakob and Ryan bring you F3, and Jake brings you F4. And Ready to Performance League, you can find Malcolm and Tim broadcasting live on YouTube 8 PM on the, of course, PS4. And Sunday night is the Xbox F1 League live on Twitch. And of course, Monday night, in fact the Sunday night F1 will be the round 5 Abu Dhabi. And of course, Monday F1 League, brought to you by Gareth and Sab, 8 PM live on YouTube. Will also be broadcasting round 5 at Abu Dhabi. In terms of socials, you can find us at Invictus Racing League for Instagram, Twitter at Invictus RL, Facebook. You can find us with all sorts of photo albums, interviews and news on all your favourite drivers. And of course, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and of course let us know who you'll be supporting in the future races. And I think we'll just try and get in the rest of the podium. I believe we have our race winner Monster Blue joining in with us, but just before, just give him a little bit more time, Scott. But it's so many standout performances from there, Scott. Probably no more than Monster Blue, who really did dominate. If you was to pick a driver today, who would maybe be your top picks?
Yeah, it's hard to choose, to be honest. I would have probably picked one of the Haas cars, to be honest with you, with what was going on and where they were placed. You know, you can't take anything away from them. You know, they drove a very good race, but it's got to be Monster Blue. You know, he pitted and he doubted me, to be honest, when he pitted, but you know, the strategy worked. The safety car helped him. Well, it didn't really help him because obviously it closed up his lead, but you know, he drove away and no one could catch him. So I'd say Monster Blue, to be honest.
Yep, well, I think that's a very fair analysis of the result. We'll just see. I think we just only have Monster Blue in us at the moment. But we'll start with our race winner, and of course, the man who's now been on the podium 3 races in a row. But this is the first time he's been on the top step. So congratulations to him. Make sure you got your voice allowed to be shared. As I'll get into the first question. Qualifying in the rain, you seemed, not only was you wet weather or dry, it seemed like you was completely in a different, almost on a different circuit to everyone else. You seem to be not just 1 or 2 tenths of that quicker, you seem to be 3 or 4 tenths of that quicker at some parts of the race.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure going into wet quali. I did some practice in time trial before the race with wet weather, but that was all I did with wet weather. I was kind of surprised the time I set, and then towards the end of quali it was dry enough, and I thought it was going to be too dry to set my final lap, but turns out the inters were just about okay enough to set a decent time. And then in the race, I was kind of surprised no one pitted after the first safety car, to be honest. I was expecting everyone to. I would have, if I knew people were going to stay out, I would have stayed up because I felt my pace was good, and knowing that I was so far back on hards, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make through the field without getting any wing damage. So yeah, no, it was a really good race. I just think I wasn't necessarily, I think it's close to say who was the quickest between me and Bisaras, because he's rapid, but I just think strategy didn't help him today. Yeah,
absolutely, of course, because when the first safety car came out, I'm sure he's probably cursing your luck a bit there, because you had such an unbelievable start. I mean, I think I said it was also Sebastian Vettel back in his Red Bull days. I think you had like a 1.8 second lead after the first lap, so immediately he was on the ball, and I think you had about a 4 second gap, and it looked like, obviously, it looked like a bold call, but of course when the second safety car came out, it got even more unlucky. I think he was 20 seconds clear at the point. But was you obviously you came out second place? Of course, you knew you had much better tyres. Was you sweating a little bit when you knew you'd have to pass Mr. Steen on track to regain the lead?
I was a little bit, but I just knew I had to be patient. I knew that it would be only a matter of time before I got past him, just because the traction is just so superior. I think obviously it was just unlucky with him losing the back end out of I don't know what time it was, but yeah, him losing the back end, and yeah, kind of from there, kind of knew that I kind of had it just the old hards behind me against fresh softs. So as long as I had fresh air to go into, I felt pretty comfortable after that.
Absolutely, of course. You finished on all 3 steps of the podium now this season. In fact, you've finished 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and now a win. So you haven't been outside the top 4 all season. So consistency clearly is very much one of your strengths, and I think you now move only 2 points off the championship lead. So it's clearly been a really good night for you. We've seen the past 2 or 3 races, it's been really clear you and Bisas have been sort of the 2 fastest guys. Futari and Mashiro have done really good jobs just keeping you 2 honest, and I think Mashiro again coming home P2. But is it a relief to get that first win, or is it more of a case of just thinking about the championship? You don't mind not winning, you're just thinking of the bigger picture, getting home big points every race?
I think obviously going into every race, my aim is to get the win. But obviously in the grand scheme of things, I want to win the championship. And I was kind of always looking behind me in that last stint to see if Mashiro could get past Bisas, because I knew he's my biggest rival. So yeah, I kind of worried it was never going to come. Just stuff was happening like in Austria, losing it due to a 3-second time penalty. So yeah, I was just quite relieved we got my first one there.
Yeah, well, congratulations. And one final question, of course, go on to Abu Dhabi. Quite a different track, but it is certainly a track that I quite like. I think it looks quite nice in the game, all these night circuits. But also, you move, like I said, 2 points off the championship lead. Are you looking forward to the next round? Is this a track that you quite enjoy?
I reasonably liked it last year. I was still on medium traction last year. I haven't tried out this year with no traction, so I'll give it a go and see what happens next week.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to you. Of course, all 4 races in the top 4 and 3 podiums in a row, so you've really had a strong start to the season. So congratulations for that, and of course a big thank you to Scott for coming alongside me tonight as well, and done a really good job in your first time commentating, buddy. So cheers for that, mate. And thank you all those for tuning in, and I really hope you enjoyed it. It was an absolute chaotic race. The 2 safety cars really made it a fantastic race to watch and one to remember for sure. And we very much look forward to round 5, where of course it is Beastas leading the championship from Monster Blue, from Hultari, and of course Mashiro as well gets himself right in there. It seems to be a breakaway top 4 in the championship. And of course AlphaTauri again just doing what they need to do in the constructors, but we'll see how it goes in round 5 in Abu Dhabi. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a very good night, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.